Amaris, we are here at the BMW of Anchorage, Alaska. So me and my husband are here to get a car, to purchase a car. So what we have, I will reveal it later. So I will ask you what's a good mileage on a used car. You know, it's really not old car, but what we are buying is it has 10,000 miles. 2018, and it has 10,000 miles. So as a general rule, my best is you should assume that, you know, the average car owner, for example, puts 12,000 miles on a car. That's each year. So to determine whether a car has a reasonable mileage, you know, you can simply multiply 12,000 by its age. So for me, what we are getting is 10,000 miles. It has 10,000 miles and it's 2018. So that means good mileage for like a car that's 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 4 years, you know, that's really reasonable. So as an average, 12,000 times 4, 60,000. So that's an average car. More or fewer miles could indicate a problem for trouble in the future. Well, you know, it depends, you know, because you see, you know, that said, you know, if you think about it, mileage can be misleading. You really have to consider the number of owners also, you know, as well. So, for example, let's say if a car is like 10 years old, and only has like 90,000 or 100,000 miles on it, then the mileage alone, that my besties and Amaras indicates that it could be a good deal. Let's see. However, you know, if it has had only 4 owners during that 10 or 12 year span of the car, you know, there's a strong possibility that at least, you know, one of the owners maybe, you know, didn't properly maintain the vehicle. So let's say, you know, likewise, if you find a 12 or 10-year-old car with only at least one previous owner, let's say, and that owner has just 30,000 miles, you know, on it, you know, he put that 30,000 miles on that car and is in great condition, you know, based on physical appearances, you know, when it's likely you can say that it's a great deal, you know. So these cars are typically, you know, for example, kept in a garage and they're meticulously maintained, properly cleaned, you know, they change the oil when it's necessary. So, you know what I'm saying? So, how many miles on like a used car is like too much? So my besties, how many miles on a used car is too much? Like what I said, mileage can be misleading, and there is no definitive answer on how many miles on the car is too much, you know. Like for example, based on 12,000 miles per year rule, we are talking about the mileage, so you can really get a general idea of what type of mileage, to expect on a used vehicle. So for example, if a used car has accumulated far more than 12,000 miles, that's per year, you may want to consider, a different vehicle. You know what I'm saying? So, how many miles on a used car is too little? Excuse my voice. It's kind of harsh, okay? Because I showboat earlier. Okay, so my besties, there is no hard and fast rule for how many miles is too little. Okay, so in general, a used car with low mileage is usually a good decision. Okay? So even when mileage seems unusually low, such as this is, it has 10,000 miles and it's 2018 BMW X2. So there are some signs that could indicate that the car hasn't been driven enough. Okay? So, however, you'll first need to make sure that the odometer reading is accurate. Which is accurate. Okay, so you have to check on Carfax. Okay? So by reviewing the vehicle history report, blah blah blah, if there are some calls, and then the damages, malfunctions, blah blah blah, you have to really review that. So you typically get a good idea of whether it is correct. Okay, for example, my besties, excuse me, if you see on the vehicle history report that the car at, for example, 5 years old had just 5,000 mileage or 5,000 miles, there is a strong likelihood that the odometer reading is accurate. Okay? If it had just only 5,000 miles. The appearance of the vehicle can also be a good indicator of whether the odometer is correct. Okay? So my besties, as a vehicle that hasn't been driven a lot, for example, during a 12-year lifespan, have few dents, for example, and very little wear and tear on the interior. Okay, for example, the seats, alright, or the door. So if you believe the odometer reading is accurate, then, I think that's a good decision making. You should have the car inspected by a professional mechanic. Okay? Yeah. So you have to really make sure that the odometer is correct. So while this is a good rule to follow, okay, when purchasing any new vehicle, it's particularly important in any given situation. Okay? Whether a car has a very, very low mileage, because if the car has been sitting for like a long time in the garage, or sitting elsewhere, certain parts could have dried out, and may require immediate tender loving care. What I'm saying, immediate repairs like that. Check the oils especially, or replacement. Okay, so At least this one is certified. So my besties, a used car technician or mechanic, typically like they have a checklist, okay, of what they need to evaluate, especially the engine, okay, on a used vehicle. So their inspection should include an overview of like the car's conditions, like what I said earlier, the repairs, etc., such as its body and finish, the glass, the doors, the wipers, okay, mirrors, glass. That's what I said. So they will also have to evaluate, the condition of the engine, okay, especially the brakes, the brake pads. That's very important. And the tires, the tires, and they need to scan everything, the control system, like that, the computer thing, as well as take the vehicle on a test drive to evaluate its overall performance, the alignment and everything. The most experienced like technicians will be able to tell you right away. They will tell you immediately if something needs to be repaired or something isn't right, with the vehicle you are purchasing. So whether there are issues that needs to be corrected or issues that need to be addressed, okay, right away, then they can tell you right away whether, you should like anticipate future repairs or future problems or issues. Okay, my besties. So I wanna ask you, is it wise to buy a car with high mileage? Personally, me, I don't want that, but a used car dealership, like in BMW or any dealership, you know what I'm saying, they have a lot of like, or Toyota, like that, Nissan, they have a lot of cars there that has a lot of mileage. And while many people avoid purchasing like cars with high mileage because there is the perception of when you're buying a car with a high mileage, and then they are riskier, and they're more prone to having future problems, So cars today are designed to last far longer, if you think about it. Just like if the gas of that car is using diesel, then I think it's okay. So when you buy a car that already has high mileage, then you can see the depreciation of that car. The depreciation curve, has already like flattened like that. And it will not decrease in value rapidly any longer, the way a new car, does. So you can't hold the value of a new car, really. It depreciates, gradually, but it depreciates like that, unlike when you're buying a house, it appreciates the value. So additionally, because cars are meant to be driven every day, or here in America, vehicles that have high mileage tend to be well lubricated. If you can see that it's still running, like the white one that we have, my sister gave it to us. It has 300,000 miles, but it still runs good. It burns carbon buildup, both of which helps the engine to kind of like last longer. So in contrast, cars with like low mileage, they often aren't given fluid changes. as frequently, which can create problems at a later time. So this one has oil like forever. All this car's lifespan has oil change. So my besties, the average car in the US is around 12 years old, 10, 12 years old, which puts an average mileage at approximately like 144,000. If it's well lubricated, like the white one we have is 300,000. So when you're deciding whether to purchase a used vehicle, you should really try to evaluate not just its current mileage, okay, but how many times, how many more miles you will be able to put, okay, on it, to reach that mark, 144,000 to 300,000, if you're lucky enough. But nowadays it's 144,000 to at least 200,000, average. For example, if a car has like 100,000 miles, so you can drive it approximately 4 more years. Yeah, around that, 3 to 4 more years. So you have to really be careful in buying used cars, okay? So, before you will reach the average mileage, which is 144 to 200,000 mileage. So consider that also, though the 12,000 miles, like as a general rule, that's a 12,000 miles per year rule. Think about it. That's beneficial for estimating, whether a vehicle has an average number of miles based on its age. Mileage alone, my besties, should not be the only determinant or a key factor when deciding whether to purchase a vehicle or not. Alright. Evaluate also the age and the hood. Under the hood, you should evaluate the car's vehicle history report, Carfax, okay? So find out how well it was maintained. Does it get a regular change oil, engine oil, blah blah blah? Did they fix the tires? Things like that. Things like that you should consider. See how many owners it has had, etc., etc. You should always have it evaluated by a mechanic, a technician, a professional. You go to a BMW dealership, they have that there. They have a lot of technicians there, who can help you identify any possible unforeseen issues, problems with the vehicle that you want to buy or you are buying. Okay. So my besties, I have a question. Is buying a car, okay, with 50,000 to 60,000 miles bad? When you're trying to determine, whether that car, whether a particular pre-owned vehicle, not only the pre-owned BMWs, like Toyotas, like that, Mercedes, blah blah blah, Audi, is worth buying. You have to consider that the number of miles left in it. So let's say 144 to 200,000 minus the current mileage. So think about that. So a modern vehicle may be able to travel up to like what I'm saying, 200,000 miles, okay? So therefore, a car with more than 60,000 or 50,000 miles is likely to have up to 150 miles left. So, yep. So this is only 10,000 miles. So, it can probably serve you for more than 10 years, If you're an average car owner who drives about 12,000 miles a year, yeah, more than 10 years. Like what I said, if you drive like about 10,000 to 12,000 miles a year, you know, there are also several factors that can affect the number of miles left on a vehicle, such as, think about the maintenance, okay, and driving environment. Whew. I live in Alaska. Guess what? There's snow. We only get 2 months of summer, then spring, and the rest is winter. You see, a poorly maintained car is likely to develop major issues, major problems sooner. So it won't be able to travel as many miles, as many times, you know, as one that has been receiving, you know, routine maintenance. Like when you go to the hospital, you know, you need your doctor to give you maintenance, those like lisinopril, you know, aspirin, blah blah blah. It's like the car. It's like that, you know. You need it. So if a vehicle has mainly been used in like a sparsely populated area, you know, it should have more life left in it. You know, it's like this. It's good if it's summer, but we have winter, you know. So think about that. So because it has led an easier and more relaxed life than a similar car that has gone through the daily grind of low speed stop and go, low speed stop and go traffic in a city. You know what I'm saying? At least here in Alaska, it's like you're just driving around the bush, like in circles. That's it. You go to the mall house, church house. You know, overall, you see, if you find a used vehicle with about 50,000, 55,000, 60,000 miles that has been properly maintained, you know, and mainly driven in a less congested area, it's definitely worth your budget and consideration. You see, it would be ideal if the car appears relatively new and shows a little wear and tear. I will let you see the car on a separate video, okay, because this will be really long and I don't want you guys to change the channel or change the video you're watching, you know. Okay, so my question is buying a car with over 100,000 miles bad? A reliable vehicle with more than 100,000 miles is likely capable of traveling. Well, the white one, that was 300,000 miles. So think about that. Another 100,000 miles or less, you know. So if you put about 12,000 miles a year on a car, then you may be able to use it up for at least 8 years, 8-9 years, like that. So in this case, you know, it's also important to consider the age of the car. Okay, so if it's a 3-year-old car, it means that its owner has been putting too much mileage, more than 30,000 miles a year, you know, more than 30,000 miles on it each year. So that's too much. So, you know, due to the tough life, you know, it has had, I'm referring to the car, you know, so its engine and other components may have sustained more wear and tear. Not this car, okay, the one that I was telling you. So So the owner may have sustained more, the owner's car, okay, more wear and tear than usual. So it can be somewhat kind of like risky, you know. You put your money on that car, then I think it's useless. Don't buy it. You know, it can be somewhat, like what I said, risky to buy a vehicle that has racked up more than 100,000 miles or 200,000 miles, you know, even if it's well maintained, and that's about 100,000 miles or less left in it. So, you know, such a car is already past its prime. So think about prime transformer. Just kidding. So generally speaking, my besties, vehicles are likely to start like experiencing problems after the car reaches 100,000 or more mile mark, like the white one. Okay, I think the white one needs alternator. We'll see about that. I can't go outside because it's too cold, you know. It's too cold. It will make my hands very, very hard. So in most cases, you know, you no longer have the valid manufacturer's warranty, which is sad if you buy like 100,000 miles or more used car, you know, meaning you have to pay for repairs out of your own pockets, you know, when something goes wrong, which is really, really bad idea, you know. You will just have a headache, you know. So what's more important, my best, is mileage or age? Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know in the comment section below, okay? And please don't forget to subscribe. Again, when you're looking for a suitable used vehicle, you may come across some offers that don't seem to make sense. Don't look at me like that. Okay. For example, for a 9-year-old car is selling at a higher price, okay, than a 7-year-old or 6-year-old car with considerably higher mileage. Okay, so this situation may leave you wondering why an older car is more expensive than the latter one. So when mileage and age are supposed to, like, they should go hand in hand, you know what I'm saying. So, but this, you know, isn't necessarily true for some instances. So mileage and age have like a different impact on the value of the vehicle. Really, yes, really. You know, my besties, you know, and they may not be closely related. So you see, before you search for your ideal vehicle, if you have the money, I say just buy the brand new one, okay? So you can get all the warranty you need, okay? But if you want to buy used, it's okay too. It's essential to know how mileage and age differ from one another, like what I said. You know, the number of miles on a vehicle's odometer is one of the most important thing to consider. That's one of the factors to determine the price of a pre-owned car. Yeah, it's also an indication of the amount of wear and tear the car has sustained, you know, over the years, over time. You know what I'm saying? So as such, a vehicle that has higher mileage will most likely be costlier, you know. than a similar vehicle with a fewer miles. True. So, generally, a car with lower mileage also offers better ride quality. True. So, I'm hungry now. I will be quick, okay? So, my besties, in most cases, you know, you have to get the service life, you know. Service life of most car parts is dependent on mileage. So, think about that. The number of miles a vehicle travels, you know, a vehicle traveled has a direct impact on the condition of the vehicle, especially the engine, you know what I'm saying, and the suspension of the car, you know, which I think, my besties, which are parts that usually require major revamping, you know, following the accumulation of like thousands of miles. So consider those things, my besties, when you're buying a pre-owned vehicle. And additionally, you have to understand the different kinds of miles put on the car, you know, you intend to purchase. Okay? So, a car that's mainly used in like cities like that will show considerably more wear and tear because of the brake stop, this and that, okay, than the one that accumulates most of its miles, you know, on a highway, just straight. Plus, there's no rocks, there's no stop signs like that. Also, a vehicle that has a dedicated owner, you know, who tends to keep the maintenance of the car, tends to have a longer lifespan, you know, especially if it has undergone some necessary maintenance like servicing, regular servicing, checkups, prompt repairs, oils, stuff like that. Okay, so whenever problems arises, you know, so try to consider that. So do your diligence. Always check the history of the car. So if everything in a vehicle is good, it's in good working condition, you know, its age isn't really important. If the vehicle is well maintained, okay. So most parts of a car wear down according to the number of miles traveled. But if your car that you're buying is 300 plus, please don't buy that anymore, you know what I'm saying. You might have a few months left, you know, on it. You know what I'm saying. There are few components that will be compromised as a result of aging. Like if a person age too much, you know, think about the bones, stuff like that, the nerves, you know. If, you know, for a car, for example, the rubber parts generally don't age well. They aren't as expensive to replace, but still, you know, minor problems like this, you know, shouldn't discourage you from buying an older pre-owned car. Okay, my besties, if you like this video, please don't forget to hit the like button, share, and comment below. I will see you all next time. I will show you the car that we bought. Thanks for my hubby. Love you, hubby. And I love you, kids. Thank you so much, my besties. If you are new watching this video, Please don't forget to hit that like button, share, comment below. Love you all. God bless.